This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, lo and behold, we talked about Justin Tucker.
Yeah, how about that?
Yesterday at the end of the show, and about 10 minutes after the show ended, Justin Tucker gets released.
They drafted a kicker in the 6th round, and I guess they had rookie minicamp, so they actually got to be with the young man and have enough trust in him to move on, I suppose. And it's only a football decision.
Only a football decision. The funny thing about that is I kept seeing videos out on the X Twitter today about their new kicker, Loop. Showing, yeah. Oh, here's the next generation. The Ravens drafted him, so he's going to be great. And all they're doing is showing him kicking balls off the kicking tee.
Really?
Like, that doesn't show me anything.
That doesn't show me anything. I don't know anything about the young man.
Every kicker out there who's worth anything can kick the ball when there's nobody rushing him. There's nobody in the state. You're just kicking the ball.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're special at all. My only take on it was he played at Arizona. That's not what you want for this area of the country. Maybe he'll be great in the weather and the wind and all that stuff, but the year I was with the Browns, Phil Dawson was our kicker. And he ended up lasting a lot longer. But he was old at that point too, and we were like, we better start looking at kickers. And the only rule, and our special teams coach was quite good actually, but the only rule was give me some evidence of him being able to kick in weather. I mean, you kick in Cleveland is probably harder than Baltimore, but you play in Pittsburgh, you play in Baltimore, you hope to go beat the Bills in the AFC
We saw that every year with
you know?
Presley Harvin in training camp.
Yeah, right.
Presley Harvin is as good as Cameron Johnston looked last year in training camp. Presley Harvin was even more impressive in training camp.
Oh, he had some boomers, man.
Like 80-yard punts in
the
air.
That just sounded different, like a shotgun.
Hung in the air for like 7 seconds. They were hitting jets going over by and flying into Latrobe Airport, and like, wow, this is going to be the year. And then you get into the season, and it would start to get cold.
It's like kicking off the tee,
and the ball would just go nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, he could kick off the tee, but he couldn't do it with a rush and all those things. Yeah, exactly. And the pressure of it all, the wind, the rush, all that stuff late in the year, it was never the same for him. But man, if you ever visited Latrobe while he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, you're like, oh, I see why they drafted that guy.
Yeah,
right. I mean, 100%. But consistency is really important at these positions.
It really is, and you can't last in the NFL unless you're with one of the dome teams or
right.
In the Northeast, in particular, or the Midwest for that matter.
Yeah. It's going to take a while to prove.
You're going to have to kick outdoors. You have
to, right. I mean, you play in the AFC North. I mean, Cleveland's a terrible place to kick.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's not easy. It doesn't seem to be as brutal as it was when the stadium was new.
They've closed it off. They closed that end a little bit. They changed the numbers.
I think the field's a little more solid too. I remember like my pit years were the beginning of it, and the footing was bad too, mixed with the wind. But Baltimore, I'm sure, is not easy.
Great.
I mean, in November, December, Cincinnati as well, and the teams you're competing against, the Bills, the Chiefs. I mean, these are tough places to kick. He might be fine. Who knows? But coming from Arizona, I didn't love that correlation.
No. Now, they also brought in a kicker as an undrafted free agent from Wyoming. So they're doing two. So they're so sold on this 6th-round kicker that they also signed another rookie kicker,
which is the same as drafting one, basically.
Yeah.
At that position. So I assume they've known Tucker being gone is basically a foregone conclusion, but let's at least get our hands on somebody else and go from there. And I remember, week 10, week 12, he was not doing well.
He was missing kicks.
Missing a lot of kicks. And he's old and he's expensive. And I thought, he's not going to be a Raven next year. And that's before I knew any off the field
Is he
stuff.
going to be – will he kick in the NFL ever again?
I think no.
I don't think he will either.
Right.
The league is investigating the 16 allegations against him.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, right.
And I just don't know that any other team is going to touch something that's toxic like that, especially given the fact that he's fallen off.
His age and his recent history.
His age is this isn't Deshaun Watson situation here. Right?
No, right. Watson was a top 5-ish quarterback.
Yeah.
This guy's a kicker for one. and is not a top 5 kicker anymore, and he's older, and you have these things out there. Now, what if he gets cleared soon? But it probably won't be soon.
I can't imagine it would be soon.
Right. I can't imagine by the beginning of the year it's like, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry about it. Hey, and for his sake, I hope that's true. But
For the sake of the women, I hope.
Right. For everybody. Right.
Nothing happened.
Right.
But
it doesn't look great.
16 of them, I'm going to think something happened.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. And the fact that the team moved on from him and drafted a kicker and signed another one, I don't think he kicks again. Was he like 36-ish?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran some numbers today. Right now, Tucker is the all-time leading field goal kicker in NFL history in terms of percentage-wise, 89.103%.
Which might be what he ends with.
Might be what he ends with.
Yeah.
Chris Boswell right now is 4th all-time.
Okay.
He's got the guy in...
Is Koo still ahead of him?
No.
Okay.
Koo
had
is
a bad
falling
year,
behind.
right.
Yeah. And that's really, all it takes. Harrison Butker's at 88.6%.
Oh, okay. He's another expensive one that's been really good.
Eddie Pinheiro is at 88.095%. Now, he doesn't have the longevity that these other guys have.
Right. No one's talking about him as a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but he's putting it through the uprights.
Boswell's at 88.026%.
Huh.
But Boswell's made over 90% of his kicks in 5 of the last 6 years.
Really? Wow. So he's above that number, which is 4th all time recently in a big way.
Yeah, in a big way. The one year that he didn't was the year he went on
that was the groin injury, right?
In 2022, he only kicked in 12 games. He was 20 of 28 that year.
Mm-hmm.
He had fighting some issues.
I believe that he had a groin all year, too,
yeah,
that he fought through, which it's not like a shoulder for a kicker.
But if you look at, he had that year and he had the 2018 season that was definitely a groin injury in that one.
Okay.
Where he was 13 of 20, 90.6% his first year, 84% his second year, which now looks like, wow, that was a really down year for him. Right. He was 21 of 25.
But it's not too shabby.
92.1%, 65% in that 2018 season. The Steelers stuck with him.
Right. I remember there was some doubt. What do you do now,
93.5% in 2019, 95% in 2020, 90% in 2021, 71.4% in that injury season in 2022.
And then eventually hung it up after 12 games, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
93.5% and 93.2% the last 2 years.
And there was a 95 in there.
He's missed 5 kicks in the last 2 years.
2 years.
3 of them have been beyond 50-plus yards.
Yeah, they're not. They're tough kicks, too. Yeah. One of them was over 60, right?
One of them was over 60.
He's missed the end of the half or something, I remember.
He's missed 2 kicks inside of 50 yards.
Wow.
In the last 2 years.
Wow. And again, weather.
Weather.
Yeah, these are playoff games and late in the season.
He's never missed a playoff kick.
Hasn't he? Wow. And he's good on kickoffs.
And he's good on kickoffs. He never
misses extra points either.
So I ran the numbers on him. Right now he's made 272 of 309 career field goal attempts.
Wow.
If he gets to if he goes 28 of 28 to get to 300,
okay,
that moves him past Tucker. Now he's not going to go 28 of 28.
No, right, but he might go 28 of 30, or eventually keep that pace up.
I then ran the numbers on, so if he has what he has averaged the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
The average,
I would think he'd go past him then.
He would be 35. He would make 35 of 37.5 kicks. Well, obviously he can't kick 37.5
this year.
If he went 35 of, let's say, 37, that would put his career percentage at 88.6.
Does that make him 1?
No.
Okay.
He would still be just behind, but he's closing fast.
But what would be nice is if someone does pick up Tucker and he keeps missing. Him stopping now might be the best thing for Tucker's legacy.
Might be.
If he's declining that much.
Because right now, Butker is at 86 or 88.6%.
Okay.
That's where he's at number 2.
He also kicks in weather, too. I give him credit. That's a windy place.
If you look at the guys on top, it's Tucker, Butker, Pinheiro.
Yeah, he kind of doesn't look like the others, though. Let's see if he can do it for 5 more years.
Boswell, Daniel Carlson is number 5. He kicks in a good environment.
Mm-hmm. I remember Koo was up there for a while, but he couldn't keep it up, and he kicked in a dome.
Fairbairn's at 86.8. Koo has fallen off down to 86%.
I do find it interesting, funny, that these are all active guys. Kickers are so
some
much
of
better now than they used to be.
6 all-time is Josh Lambo.
Okay.
8 is Mike Vanderjack. You wouldn't necessarily think of that.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good career.
Robbie Gould is 9. Kai Fairbairn, or Forbath is
And a lot of those guys
86.3.
lasted, too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those guys have a lot of attempts. Huh. But I could definitely see a couple of the dudes that are kicking now fall off. You know, like I think Butker's out of the woods. He's going to be – I mean, he looks like he's had a really good career. Tucker's probably done. But the other guys you mentioned around Boz, let's see where you're at in 2-3 years. I mean, you just don't have a great body of work.
Yeah, so it's just interesting,
Yeah.
and it goes. This is, and I don't want to compare apples to apples here with the Shedeur Sanders situation because this isn't the same thing,
Right.
but you're only valuable to the team if Justin Tucker doesn't have this. If he has a normal Justin Tucker season
Last year,
if he hits 37 of 40 kicks,
he's the 5th best accuracy
he's
guy.
7 of 9 from 50 and beyond. They're not cutting him.
I don't think. I mean, unless this stuff's really, really bad, or they're waiting for a conviction.
I don't even know if it comes out in that situation.
Yeah. Who knows?
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Right,
wink,
right.
wink. That this suddenly comes out after right after he has had his worst season, and the stuff's been happened. Most of it happened 5-6 years ago, and all of a sudden now people are coming out of the woodwork on this. Like,
Yeah. Along the Shedeur Sanders thing, which is kind of a somewhat of a left turn, is I heard a good comparison about like why people don't want to deal with Sanders. It's like think of some of those first round pick quarterbacks that like busted, like Blaine Gabbert, but he's lasted in the league for 10 years, 12 years, or whatever. Or a better example is like the Case Keenums that last 5 years. It's because they're good dudes, and people want to be around them. You know, like. It's not necessarily that he throws the ball better than
it's not even so much that
8
Matt.
years in, you know?
Everything that I have heard regarding his interview process, and it is an interview process.
Right.
You're interviewing for a job.
Yes.
Not the other way around. You're not interviewing the team.
Right.
You're not being recruited. You're being interviewed. And
the combine stuff sounded really bad.
He treated it like he was being recruited by these teams.
Yes, exactly. I don't have time for you. I'm not interested.
I'm not going up on the whiteboard. Why would I do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Things like that.
Exactly. Unless it was like the Browns or the Giants who weren't going to use a second or third pick on him. You know, it was a couple teams, I got time for you. Frankly, if the Steelers invited him for a visit at combine time, I bet he had said, no, you're picking 20. I'm not going to be around. You know, like, and I think they brought him in as a smoke show.
He acted entitled.
Right. That's not good enough.
And you weren't entitled.
If you're the best quarterback in the draft, that's different. If you're a backup grade on the field, which I think he is. I mean, he's a second, third round player. I can't have that stuff.
And yet people still want to try to make this. And there was somebody on our message board that tried to compare this to Colin Kaepernick's situation.
Oh, I think it's very different.
They're completely different.
They're very different, right.
I mean, you know, whether you agree with Kaepernick or not, the NFL made a stand and said, hey, look, you're working.
You're an NFL employee.
You're an NFL employee, and we don't want you doing that right now and ticking off half of our fan base.
Yeah.
Or the other half of the fan base if you don't do it. And it just opened the can of worms. They didn't want to deal with that situation like that. And so they said, teams just said, we don't want to deal with that distraction.
And I think
nobody. The bottom line is that's the only equatable thing there is that teams don't want to deal with a distraction,
right?
Unless you're a star player. If you're Antonio Brown, you can get away with a little bit more than if you're Marcus Wheaton. You can get away with a lot more than if you're Marcus Wheaton.
You know, people knew Lawrence Taylor was up to bad stuff. You know,
right?
But he was the best player on the planet.
Yeah,
right. I mean, even Jimmy Johnson will tell you.
One set a rule for Michael Irvin, and another set a rule for Curtis Richardson, or Curtis Richards, who they cut for falling asleep in a meeting.
But Michael can fall asleep in a meeting, right? Emmett probably can
Michael
get away
could have a bed in the meeting,
right, to show up on game day, right? Yeah, it's all relative that way,
and that's not just the NFL.
No, right?
That's every walk of life.
I'm sure, and the example I was using before the draft was. When Tim Tebow got signed by the Jets, not when he was a first-round pick. It's different when you're first-round.
To be a tight end
/ personal
H-back,
protector, special team Taysom Hill guy. they had to have a huge press conference. And the left tackle who's been in the league for 10 years with 3 kids and millions in the banks getting a microphone in his face. So what do you think of the Tim Tebow signing? He's a personal protector.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it. I guess he had a good college career, but I don't watch college football. I don't care. Right. It's not worth it.
Again.
And the difference within Kaepernick, you at least saw NFL film of Kaepernick.
Right.
Like he did good things as an NFL quarterback. Shador, you don't even know yet.
Right. That's
to be different.
That's what I explained to the gentleman who was going back and forth with me on the message board about it. I'm like, there's a huge difference here. Colin Kaepernick had at least done something in the league. Right.
He was an early second-round pick with a lot of ability and was starting to turn into a
Shador
player.
Sanders has done nothing.
He's done nothing.
Nothing.
The league will move on without him either way.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're not. It's not an inalienable right to be drafted into the NFL.
Right. The 32 teams don't know it.
It's an honor. I give the same speech every year when we're, because I run the baseball league in Washington, when we're picking our all-star team. You don't have a right to be on that team.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honor to be chosen for that team.
You might think you're the best first baseman in the league.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Right.
What does everybody else think about you? What happened in the tryout and everything else that's involved with it?
And in the NFL draft, every team has a right to pick who they want. They're not. You can't.
Mel Kiper be damned.
Right. He can have his opinion too, but they're going to pick who they want, and no one's going to force them to pick this guy or that guy.
It's just the reality of the situation. Again, he was being interviewed, not recruited, and he treated it like it was a recruiting process.
There's been so much that has came out that he's just wanted to. He didn't have time for people. He rubbed them wrong. Would just go through the motions.
Nonchalant in the meetings.
Right.
Again, they try to put him on the board. I don't want to do that.
No, I'm not doing it. Right. Huh,
okay.
Well, then I'm not going to draft.
I guess you don't want the job then.
Yeah. You don't want the job. Right.
If I go in and interview for a job, it's stepbrothers. If I go into the meeting and start passing gas in my interview process, I'm probably not going to get that job.
Right. Or hey, can you give us your last 3 articles? No, sorry.
No, can't do it. Not going to do it.
Right.
Well, I don't expect to get the job then.
Right.
That's
which to me reflects a little on Dion in that he's getting advice from someone. I mean, at this point, whoever he's getting advice from did not do him any favors. But he's over 18. He's an adult now too. He can make his own mind up. And
the difference was Dion
could blow off.
Dion
could.
He could do all that stuff because he was Dion.
He was Dion, right?
The son isn't Dion,
right? 100%.
He may be a great football player. I hope for his sake that he is. Mm-hmm. I hope he turns into a starter and all that good stuff.
Right. Maybe this was the kick in the pants he needs to be like, well, I got to take this thing more seriously, and who knows? He'll at least have an opportunity.
Bringing this back to Justin Tucker again. If Tucker had the season that Chris Boswell had last year, Justin Tucker is still a Raven.
I bet they're not drafting a kicker.
They're not drafting a kicker, and he is still a Raven. Mm-hmm. And we back our player 100%.
Do our due diligence until the end, right? Yeah. Oh, I agree with that too. Yeah. So, now, if he gets convicted, that's a different story. If it gets very clear.
Well, I mean, even at that, the Browns financially had to stick behind Watson, but that stuff all happened.
Yeah.
Well, he's paid his fines and all that stuff. We're good with it.
I mean, to the Ravens' credit, like as soon as Ray Rice thing happened, you're gone. That was also video evidence.
Showing,
right.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's not exactly
God, I hope
the best visual.
There better be no video evidence of
any of that.
Right. Happy endings.
Right.
Yeah. Yuck. Anyways, let's get to a break.
That's the topic of the day, though, and reflects how we ended yesterday.
Yeah. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, Warren Sharp does his strength of schedule a little bit differently than just looking at last year's win total and saying, okay, well, they won 9 games last year. Pencil them in for 9 games again this year. And
win percentage. Yeah. Right. Combined win percentage.
And looking at it that way. I
think his is so much smarter.
He has come up with his strength of schedule. Schedule will be released next week by the NFL.
The other thing he does after that point is, remember, he went back and looked at all like the
rest and all that
stuff
yeah.
too. Like the Ravens set the world record for rest advantage.
Well, that's why I wanted to look at this now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then next week, after the schedule is released, then when he comes out with his
he usually
adjusted
does it like overnight. I think he doesn't sleep that night and puts it all together, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Then we find out, what the actual schedule is, because it matters as much as where you play them as when you play.
Absolutely.
Some teams.
Absolutely. I mean, 3 and 11 days.
You play them on Thursday night.
Really
you're playing
tough, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you in Miami in September? Are you in Miami in November?
In that article that he puts out, he'll even tell you, he's like, the road team on Thursday road games on 4 days rest is 38% win percentage. I mean, like, it's, I mean, it's, or another one is like 3 road games in a row. Your chances go down. The first one's just like 48%, like everybody else. And the second one goes to like 40, and the third one's like 10.
Yeah.
Like 3 road games in a row. It's like, it doesn't even matter who you play. You're probably not going to win the third.
The league. That's why. I mean, the league doesn't do that as much anymore. As it,
no, they've been better.
They've
about
been
that
cognizant
stuff.
about. Yeah, hey, don't give
but some of the rest stuff is pretty goofy. I mean, there's a lot of the same teams have been getting advantages.
And so looking at the strength of schedule this year.
Well, the way he does it is based off Vegas odds. Like the Raiders are a lot different. They have a new quarterback. They have a new head coach. It doesn't matter really how many games they won last year. It's what are they expected to win this year.
What are they expected to win?
Yeah, yeah.
So his strength of schedule, he has the 49ers with the easiest schedule.
By far.
New England at 2.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco's win total was 10.5. The Patriots are 7.5.
I'm almost certain the NFC West plays both South divisions.
They do, yeah.
Which obviously has something to do with it.
The Saints have the 3rd easiest schedule at 6.5.
Okay.
With 6.5 win total. When you look at it that way, the fact that they have an easier schedule and still only have a 6.5 win total.
Right.
They're going to be.
They're expected to be really bad, right? And when we start doing like over/under win total stuff, I look at the teams that are at the top and at the bottom too. Like, well, I'm on the fence here, but they have a really tough schedule. I'm going to go under.
Right. The Falcons are 4th. Their win total 7.5. I see a trend here with all the NFC South teams.
A lot of times, one division will get hit hard, and especially if you're the last place team in that one, that's 2 games that are easier than the others, most likely.
3.
3
now.
Yeah, it is 3.
But you also play those other bad teams in your division.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills have the 5th easiest schedule. Their win total is 11.5.
That's the first pretty darn good team.
Yeah.
Who knows about the Niners, but
Could they be this year's 14-3, 15-2 team?
We talk about this a lot. I mean, I think their chances of going 6-0 in the division are pretty strong. Maybe as good as any team in the league.
Yeah. Jacksonville is 6. Their win total is 7.5.
Okay, yeah.
Carolina, 7th, 6.5 win total.
A lot of those South teams.
The Titans, 8th, 5.5 win total.
Yeah. I wonder how much Vegas takes into account what Warren did. Or is it...
I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I bet it's not.
See, here's where it goes off the rails a little bit here, because when we talked about this last week, when we did the win totals for the league,
post-draft, yeah.
He has the Dolphins at 9, and the Dolphins' win total is 8.5. And I would go under on that all day long.
I would too, because they have the 9th easiest schedule, you're saying?
But I'm just saying, like, I don't think their win total, like Vegas, I don't think is dead on with some of these win totals.
No, and I think they get adjusted a little too. Like 8.5 seems really high for Miami.
Yeah.
Really high.
I mean, that's a putrid defense.
And they have a lot of holes.
Yeah.
And an injury-prone quarterback. A lot of things could go wrong.
Tampa Bay is 10th, 9.5 win total.
Easiest, okay.
Behind all the teams in their division, because they got to play 3 first-place teams in their.
But the teams in the division have to play Tampa.
Yeah,
you know, so that sort of balances out. But I think a lot of it is because of the first-place schedule.
Arizona at 11.
These are the teams that are like average, basically. You're right.
8.5. And when you look at it this way, here are the teams the Steelers are lumped in with at 8.5 wins. Miami, Arizona, the Steelers, the Bears, the Vikings. Those are your 8.5 win teams.
Yeah. I'd be a little offended if I were the Vikings, too. They won a lot of games last year.
They won a lot of games. I get it. It's a rookie quarterback.
But we didn't have high hopes for Darnold a year ago either. I mean, he ended up exceeding it. Now, will JJ be as good as Darnold? Probably not this year. But they have a tough division, too. But so the Bears.
Right.
But the Steelers have a harder schedule than most of those teams you mentioned, too.
Well, they don't have a harder schedule than the Vikings.
And so they
don't have a harder schedule than the Bears.
Okay, those are...
They're in the middle of those 8.5 win teams. Looking at the 12th is the Colts. They're 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
13th is the Seahawks. They're a 7.5. Denver is 14th, 9.5.
These are like league average schedule difficulty.
Chargers 15th, 9.5. You see the clusters of the divisions.
9.5 seems like a lot for the Chargers too.
It does.
But,
the Jets are 16th at 5.5.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a real difficult schedule.
Yeah,
it's middle of the road, but I mean the division's not that hard.
17 is Cincinnati, 9.5.
That's the first AFC North.
First
team.
AFC
so
North.
They have
team.
the easiest schedule in the
and they
division.
should. They weren't the last place team.
No, the Browns were.
The Raiders at 18, 6.5. You got the Commanders at 19 at 9.5. Okay. You could see some plexiglass.
Yeah.
Principle there.
They're old too for being a young team.
Yeah. At 20 are the Rams at 9.5. See the difference between that and the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't know why the Niners are so much easier. There must be something on their schedule.
The bad teams that they play are bad.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Cincinnati versus the rest of in Cleveland. Like Cleveland,
it's weird to me when one team in the division stands out so much more than the others.
20 of the Rams at 9.5. The Ravens come in at 21st, 11.5.
Okay.
Wins. The Cowboys at 22, 7.5.
That division's pretty tough.
The Packers are 23 at 9.5.
These are the tougher schedules then.
Yes, these are the tougher schedules. The Steelers are 24th.
24, okay.
8.5 wins.
And a lot of it's division are in. I mean, both Norths are going to have a tough time.
Yeah. Which is why when you look at who's 31st, it's Cleveland.
Yeah.
They got to play all the other AFC North teams.
Yeah.
And the NFC Central. And
Right. So, no, they were real tough. Right?
The Bears are 26 at 8.5 win total. The Chiefs are 27th this year.
I mean, I'm sure they have the Bills and the Ravens and the
division.
First place
their
team.
division also got
division
better.
looks better. Yeah. I'm sure the win totals on the Denver went up from last year. Definitely the Chargers. Probably
even
the Raiders too.
Yeah.
Probably at least by a game. Yeah.
You get at 28 the Vikings. Their win total is 8.5.
Okay.
29th is the Eagles.
Wow.
Their win total is 11.5.
I mean, obviously the first place schedule, but that's not shocking.
30th is Detroit. They get the third toughest schedule.
Okay.
Their win total is 10.5.
Those first place teams, it sounds like in the NFC, it's a little harsher than it used to be.
Yeah. And then, bring up the rear, you get the Browns and the Giants at 31 and 32, both at 5.5 wins.
I found it interesting that they're the two toughest schedules because they picked second and third in the draft. They were the two quarterback have-to-have teams.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of in parallel universes to some degree.
Their 5.5 is not the same as Tennessee's 5.5 win total. Tennessee has the 8th easiest schedule.
Like you might look at the Giants and say, I think they're in a better place than the Titans, but the roads ahead is way harder.
Yeah.
Way harder.
Even the Jets have the 16th
at least it's middle of the road.
It's middle of the road, whereas those two teams are both also picking to get 5.5 wins, and they're 31st and 32nd. They may not even get the 5.5.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would lean towards the under on that. From what I remember, this time last year, the Steelers were 31 or 32.
They were at the bottom, yeah.
I mean, it ended up being that way, and I think the year before they were at the bottom.
A big part of that is the division.
And you're a playoff team. Like, you're not going to have many last-place teams on your schedule, and the division's good.
Yeah.
I mean, this time last year, the Browns over-under was at like 9 wins.
Right.
I mean, the whole division looked 8 wins or better.
The Steelers had the 4th highest win total in the division last
Going
year.
into
at
it,
this
right,
point.
right.
I think they were at 8.5 at this point last year. Cleveland was at 9.5,
which was why the Steelers had a harder schedule than the other three teams because they didn't get to play what was perceived as the weakest team, which was Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So, well, now whether this plays out or not, I still think there are some flies in the ointment. I just think that.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's still a prediction. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't know how the schedule's going to go, and so much of it has to do with, okay, Houston's on the schedule, they look good, but the week you played them, they didn't have Stroud. I mean, there's a lot of luck involved.
Yeah.
And there's plus the stuff that's going to come out next week is, are you on multiple road games? Is this a super short week? Losing to the. We looked at when I remember schedule release day last year. Another short week in Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's as good as everyone thinks they are, but that's going to be a tough game.
That's a tough game.
That's a really tough game, right? I think it was piggybacked with the Ravens or something too. I think they were coming off a Raven game and then they had to go there. It's like, that's bad luck of just how it lines up too.
And even all the division games late in the year,
right?
Last year was
weird.
not
right, and we all saw the 3 and 11 day thing too. That's a nightmare.
I just looking at those win totals in this perspective. I understand San Francisco's win total.
It's a little higher now
10.5.
than I remember when we talked about the first time. Like, boy, that seems a lot for a team that's that fragile, but their road's easier than everybody else's.
Yeah. I don't understand the Saints at 6.5 though. Even if the Saints go, can the Saints go 3-3 in the division?
At best.
I don't see it.
Right. I mean, that's a home run for them.
So where are they getting to 6.5 wins?
Right. I mean, I think Shuck's going to be their quarterback.
And I like Shuck, but where are they
That's
getting to
asking
6.5 wins?
That's asking a ton, right?
Yeah. Because I think Carolina's better.
Yes.
I think Atlanta's better than them.
I think the Saints have a real good
I think
chance
the Saints
to
are the
pick.
worst team in that division.
I think they have a chance to pick first overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're right in that hunt.
And you may look at it, well, Atlanta's 7.5. I think Atlanta's probably better than a 7.5 win team playing in that division.
Probably.
I think they're the second best team in that division.
Was it worth trading a future first? Who cares? You got better.
Right.
And that doesn't matter for this exercise. If your whole goal is to win as many games as you possibly can this year, their defense looks better.
The Bills are clearly the best team in the AFC. Are they going to go 6-0 in the AFC East? I would tend to think so.
I mean, the over-under should probably be 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt they're 4-2.
5.5 would be the
Right.
So I mean, they're halfway to 11.5 right out of the gate.
And a big thing we'll be looking at too, and certainly in that division, you don't want to go to Miami the first couple weeks. You don't want to go to Denver the first couple weeks. Heat games. Miami doesn't want to go to Buffalo in week 18. I mean, some of those things matter too.
Jacksonville's win total is 7.5. They've got the 6th easiest schedule.
I might lean towards the over there.
Cleveland wouldn't be happy with that.
Right.
Thinking they were going to,
New coach, Hunter.
Everything now is,
they're
going to have 2 top 10 picks. Are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll won.
Yeah. And they'll have earned that.
Yeah. What's their over-under? It's 5.5.
5.5.
And they have a brutal schedule.
They have the second toughest schedule.
So if the Bills have the best chance, off the top of my head, to be 6-0 in their respective division, do the Browns have the best chance to be 0-6?
They probably they always beat Cincinnati every year.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but I mean, I think the Titans have a better chance to win a division game. I bet maybe the Giants.
Well,
the Giants are at the bottom.
Here's the other interesting thing about it, looking at it this way. You've got 5 teams who are projected, 6 teams. They were projected to have double-digit win totals.
Okay.
San Francisco, Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Detroit.
The Niners are not like the others.
Detroit has the 3rd toughest schedule. Philadelphia has the 4th toughest schedule.
Because they play each other.
The Chiefs have the 6th toughest schedule. Baltimore is 11th. Kansas City has the 5th easiest schedule, and the 49ers have the easiest schedule.
Who had the 5th easiest? Kansas City.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, okay. Yeah, I don't think the Niners are nearly in the level of those other teams, especially based off just last year's results. Those are the best couple teams in the league. But the best teams usually do have the hardest schedules. That's why,
right.
I mean, the Steelers are one of them. I mean, year after year, it's what the league wants. They want parity. They want some of these, the Texans 2 years ago, Washington last year, to come from the cellar up till playoff time.
But it just tells me if I were looking at this and going, okay, who's going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC? Buffalo.
Buffalo feels real good.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't love seeing that if you're Kansas City.
No.
Or Baltimore.
Right.
A team like that your aspirations, your goal is to get that number 1 seed, not just win the division, but be the best team in the AFC. Buffalo's got a nice path.
And they've got the easiest division.
But, yeah, it all correlates, of course. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with Detroit. Like Detroit and Philadelphia, their divisions got tougher.
Detroit looks real difficult.
Detroit's look brutal.
Right. I mean, that's why the Giants, to me, might be the leader in the clubhouse for the first overall pick.
Yeah.
I mean, they easily could be 0-6 in their division.
And I saw something like Detroit last year, I think went 7-0 or something like that against non-playoff teams, 6-2 against playoff teams, something along those lines.
Okay.
They were unbeaten, maybe 9-0 against
the
non-playoff teams.
Yeah, they
or
crushed
6-2 against the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they're going to get more of them now.
They're going to get more.
Yeah. It's hard to stay on top. It really is. But those teams have the quarterbacks. That also correlates.
Yeah.
The teams that are at the top, that brings you back to the Steelers. I mean, if the Steelers are consistently having one of the harder schedules in the league, which they have, if you go back years of Sharp doing this, they don't have Mahomes. They don't have Allen, and they still have battled the really hard schedules. It's a tough road.
Yeah.
Nobody feels bad for you.
Nobody does.
In
fact, some people are underwhelmed by it all.
There are a few of them out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, the NHL held its draft lottery last night.
Yeah.
And the Pittsburgh Penguins ended up 11th. They had been the 9th best odds.
They were projected to win the 9th spot or whatever, right?
That's what their odds
were. The ping pong balls, right?
Major League Baseball doesn't do that.
Don't they?
But the NBA and NHL do use the lottery system.
If you don't know the answer, obviously you don't know the answer.
Their draft order.
Is it only the non-playoff teams?
Yeah.
It's not like
if you make the playoffs, you just go in based on how you
get eliminated, just like the NFL.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if it was just like the top 5 teams or if it's everyone that missed the playoffs. And if you're the best team that missed the playoffs, I think you get 1 ping pong ball. If you're the worst team, you got 12 or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. It's weighted.
Yeah. Should the NFL consider doing something like that?
I've been asked that a lot, and I don't think it's a terrible idea because, first of all, you know how many viewers they get for that? A bazillion gajillion, Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. They could do it pretty early in the process, which you'd have to do it before free agency because it might, if I pick 12
you would do it right after the combine.
Maybe even earlier. I want to do it before free agency because
the combine is before free agency.
Oh, right.
The combine's
right.
2 weeks after the Super Bowl. You have to kind of wait until the You don't have to wait until the Super Bowl. Obviously, the NHL and NBA
you do it during
their playoffs last 6 months long each.
Right. No, that's a great time to do it. Yeah, absolutely, because it wouldn't change your strategy as a. My point
free agency doesn't start until 2 weeks after the combine.
Right after the combine would be great. Ideally, then the NFL's so smart about this. Do it during a down stretch. So everybody watches, just like schedule release. There's not a lot going on right now. Schedule release is turned into an event. And you want it sort of early because if I pick 1 versus 19 is a heck of a lot different. I mean, the 19th best team could win the first overall pick. I don't think they'll do it because that is such a dramatic shift. But I definitely think they'll consider it if teams start really tanking.
Yeah.
Like if they really put out garbage the last 2 weeks or whatever, the bad teams, to try to get a first overall or second overall or maintain their spot, I think the NFL will be like, no. We want those games to be as meaningful as possible.
I think, that was why there was so much pushback on the Brian Flores Dolphins tanking situation.
Right. Any word of tanking is going to be vehemently, right, no question. I'm trying to think, I think the Eagles late in the season, sat everybody, or the second half or something like that, sort of recently. But this has come up a lot just because I think the Patriots going into Week 18 had the first overall pick.
They had the first overall pick, and they won.
Yeah. And they easily could have just put out their worst players. Tanking's a weird word.
Their worst players.
You're right. You could have sat May, I guess.
Yeah. It's more difficult to do, I think, in a sport like the NFL
Yeah.
Tanking in particular, because you got 22 guys on the field. You only have a 53-man roster.
How many offensive linemen?
Right. You only have a certain number of that. You only have so many defensive linemen. You only so many different players at each position.
And no one's going to give half effort.
And those guys are going out there. They're trying. Because you're not just playing for this year. There's nothing guaranteed in the NFL.
I'm not putting bad tape out there for anybody.
Hell no.
Or plus, I could get injured if I'm not giving it 100%. But I'm taking on a block. It's not an all-star game.
And most of the contracts aren't guaranteed.
Right.
Like I'm playing for next year's contract.
And in any given game, the 22 players on the field at once, I bet 11 of them are set to be free agents after the year. I don't even have loyalty to this team. I don't know if they're bringing me back. So
and
it's
if
never
I'm
going to
that
be an effort
bad, the
thing.
coach may be getting fired, and they're going to clean house anyways.
So I was a little young, but I think the best example, and exactly what the NFL doesn't want, is when the Pens got Lemieux, which is my all-time favorite athlete. They called up a goalie from the minors who wasn't particularly good at stopping pucks, and for the last month, he played goal, and they let up a whole lot. So you put your worst guys out there if you want to lose. Yeah. But the NFL doesn't want that, and you don't put.
And it's kind of impossible to do in the NFL.
I mean, you could sit your best guys, and if you win, you win. I mean, like the Willie Parker game, didn't they? In Buffalo or whatever.
They sat guys
because they had a spot locked up.
But their guys they were bringing off the bench were Willie Parker and James Harrison.
They were good. Right. Yeah. And they're going to play like crazy. That's their audition.
Like their hair's on fire because they won a job.
Absolutely, I do think it is harder. I mean, I guess in the NBA you could sit. All right, LeBron, you got to
You're going to take this one off.
Yeah. We'll put our best guys that always touch the ball on the bench for now. NFL's tougher. There's just a lot more people.
Yeah.
But I do think if we start to see serious tanking, there'll be more talk.
I mean, we've seen a couple. The Lions and the Browns in recent years have gone winless. Really hard to do.
Kind of by design.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think tanking is done in the front office. Like a coach isn't going to call the wrong plays.
Right.
Quarterback's not going to miss a throw by accident. Kicker's not going to blast it into the seats. But if I don't put any good teams on, if I don't give my coaches any good players, well, I'll probably lose some games.
Right.
But that's different than this issue. I mean, that's a productive struggle.
And guys do get better. The more they play, the better they get.
Well, that's the thing too.
You can put bad guys out there, or lesser guys out there. But as the course of the season goes on, they might get better.
And that's part of the benefit too. Play all your young guys. 3 or 4 of them really emerge. I mean, nobody tanks with a bunch of 35-year-olds.
Right.
And
those guys would have pride.
Yeah.
And at least have a
bit of a job for another year.
Yeah, like the Texans a few years ago when they had a really bad team, but they went out and got a bunch of 30-something guys on one-year deals.
See if any of them hit. They're all going to try like crazy for us. Set some kind of
They know
culture.
what they're doing.
Right. They're not as talented as the guys across from them, but maybe I can bring him back and I'll draft someone in the 3rd round that learns from him and then hopefully goes past him.
Yeah. It's just tougher to do in the NFL.
I think it is too. But boy, the night on NFL Network that was the lottery would get a lot of views.
It would.
And we'd probably do a live show and even if Steelers weren't in it.
Yeah. Absolutely. But anyways, that's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And welcome back to hour number 2 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, time for a little fantasy football focus here.
All right.
As we did yesterday, we'll take a look at Pro Football Focus's rankings on the draft. We're going to look at running backs today, and this is PPR.
Oh, big. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, worth noting.
At this position, that's super important.
Because they have Bijan Robinson as their number 1 running back over Saquon Barkley, and I get it in a PPR format.
Yeah, I was going to say, boy, that sounds a little nuts. I love Bijan. I was, preparing to have this conversation with 2 things I wanted to bring up about Barkley, so I'm going to do that before I forget. If the tush push gets eliminated, that helps him. I mean, I bet he gets 2 or 3 more short rushes. Not that Hurts won't still score from the 1. But I heard this just since we got together last, and it adds up. I think he sat week 18. Remember, he could have gone for the record, but they're like, let's try to win the Super Bowl instead. But even including that, if you add up all of his touches, including going deep into the playoffs, obviously, to the Super Bowl, he had, I think, over 500 touches. He had more touches than any running back since DeMarco Murray's year that he was like the total bell cow. And it's been a while, but if you look at guys that had 500 or more, like 8 out of 10 of them only played like half a year the next year. Take that what you want. But, I mean, if you're using the first overall pick in your fantasy draft on Barkley, that would be my only concern.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a great situation. Would you take Bijan over him in PPR? They throw more.
They throw more. He
young quarterback dumping it to him.
Yeah.
It's pretty appealing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't consider anybody else, though. Gibbs
no.
Okay.
Gibbs is their RB3.
That's what I'm saying. I bet he's in the next tier, though.
RB4 and 9th overall in their rankings, Ashton Genty.
I'm cool with that. Especially in PPR, I'd have him over Henry. I can't think who else I'd even be in the hunt for running back for.
This next guy, the guys right after him, at 14 overall and RB5, Devin Achane.
Right. That's a big drop to me. I mean,
I can't do that.
Those top 4 you're pretty happy with.
Now, RB5, or RB6, I should say, at 17 overall is Bucky Irving.
I might have him over Chan, but
I would definitely have him over Chan.
None of them would compete for the top 4, though.
He's going to score more touchdowns.
Yeah.
He does catch the ball.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like much, but that Ollie Gordon pick hurts Chan, too. He was such a bad goal line back, but now he's probably not even going to be out there. I can't even imagine that plan. He's like the smallest guy in the field, and you're asking him to be the goal line back.
Are you hiding?
Right.
They were going to go do the little person
throw him over the top, right.
At 21 overall and RB7, Christian McCaffrey.
I'd probably roll the dice. I'd take him over Chan. In PPR.
I'd definitely take him over Chan.
I might take him over Irving. The thing is, you're never going to see any preseason stuff.
No, you're going to have no idea.
You're going to go into it blind. You're just going to have to trust the beat reporters, and who knows how much he practices.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith.
At 22, RB8, Derrick Henry.
Non-PPR, would you put him ahead of the 3 above him? I'd take him over Chan.
You still get the receiving yards, though.
Right. It still matters.
Yeah. So it's not like they go away.
No, he's not going to get any. I mean, the beauty of
I think Achane is just rated too highly. That's
right. But he will catch passes. He's going to catch a lot more than Henry.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument for Henry to be 5 in standard.
At 23 is RB9, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I mean, he's another one's had quite the workload, but he does every year and he fights through it, you know.
Yeah. At 20,
there's not much competition.
No.
I mean, the Lloyd kid looks like a bust.
27, RB10 is Jonathan Taylor.
Love the player. He's missed like 11 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks, no matter who they are going to vulture some of it. He doesn't catch a lot of passes, but I love the player.
28, RB11 is Kyron Williams.
Pretty solid. So I just heard this, and I went back and double-checked it. Every year that McVay has been the head coach of the Rams, they have drafted a running back. I mean, not in the first round. There's all those times without a first-rounder, but they did again, and they're like, well, is that an indictment on Corum, or are they less happy with Williams? No, I think they just draft one every year in the mid-rounds.
At 29 overall and RB12 is Kenneth Walker.
I think he's ready for a real bounce back. I think he's a tremendous player.
35 overall and RB13 is Joe Mixon.
I was so afraid of him last year. I thought he was hitting a wall. I didn't think he looked good at the end of his Bengals career. I was wrong. I mean, I think that offense will be better.
36 overall and RB14, James Cook.
He won't have the same touchdowns, but number one back in a great offense, I might have him higher than that.
I think I would.
Yeah.
37 overall, RB15, Chase Brown.
Yeah.
He does catch the football.
He does, and it's a really good offense. They throw in the red zone, though.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's great.
I don't think he is either.
Yeah, that doesn't always matter for fantasy.
At 38 and RB16, Breece Hall.
I don't know what to make of him. I've been in a bunch of trade talks in my dynasty league for him, and I'm wary to invest heavily in him.
If you're gonna bang Jonathan Taylor because
right.
the quarterbacks are going to vulture some carries and touchdowns away from him, I think you have to do the same thing with Breece Hall.
I know, and he's had a fair amount of wear and tear, and he's had some injuries. Like, I don't think I'm going to end up making the deal in this league because I don't trust him to that level. I mean, they want early picks, and I'm not quite there.
At 39 and RB17, Omarion Hampton.
I get it. You might have to be a little patient for a month or so, right?
Yeah.
And Najee's probably not going to get hurt or get out of the way,
right.
That's sticky. I don't know that I could be in that camp.
At 40, and that's not his age, but it's close, RB18, Alvin Kamara.
He produces every year.
I don't love the situation, though, this year.
Oh, I hate the situation. I've hated it for a couple years.
Yeah.
New coordinator, too, doesn't scream. Real quick back to Hampton. Would you take Harvey over him?
Yes.
I would, too. And I'm not saying he's better, but it's just situation.
Right.
How about like Judkins?
No, he's coming up next
Henderson.
year. So.
Okay, yeah.
He's RB19 at 41 overall, so there's not a lot of difference here.
I hate the situation.
Yeah.
So back to the Browns. I didn't realize this either, but boy, have I crushed them for not drafting any offensive linemen. 4 of their starters are free agents after this year, too. Like, what are you doing? It makes me crazy. Draft 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and no linemen.
At 43, RB20, after Judkins at 19, is James Conner.
He had a really good year. A couple of these guys, I mean, everyone always talks about age 27.
I think this is where you win your draft.
Yeah, I'm saying this isn't
area
so
right
bad. Everyone's going to be like, he's a year older. He's so injury prone. Over the course of his career, he hasn't been that injury prone. He was early.
Yeah.
But he's been productive all the time.
RB21 is Chuba Hubbard.
I'll take that, too.
Yeah.
He's got a good line.
Again, I think these are the guys you win with.
Yeah.
Because RB22 at 60 overall is David Montgomery.
He's going to score. I think they had like 30 rushing touchdowns last year.
Right. And he'll have 18 of them.
He'll have, double digits for sure.
61 overall, RB23 is Tony Pollard. I like Montgomery a hell of a lot more than I like Pollard.
Yeah, Pollard's the first name I was like, ooh, yeah. I mean, Spears is so similar to him, and they're not great. I mean, he wasn't bad last year, but
63 overall, RB24 is DeAndre Swift.
Right now, he's the only show in town.
Somebody else can go down that road.
I know. I don't trust him one bit, but I bet people will love him.
69, RB25 is Aaron Jones with the Vikings.
I'm going to run that back. My point before when we were talking about Connor was age 27, these guys all hit a cliff. Well, Kamara, Henry, McCaffrey. These guys are all producing when they're out there.
All from the same draft.
They're all from the same draft. Aaron Jones got 3 new linemen in Minnesota. Still pretty good.
71, RB26 is Harvey.
I'll go up on that one. I just don't think there's any competition. They want to run the ball.
72, RB27 is Isaiah Pacheco.
I'm shocked they didn't do more running back. I never trust him because of style of play, but it's not
Look
bad.
what happened last year.
Yeah,
He busted up. 74 overall, and RB28 is Jalen Warren.
I was wondering who the top Steeler would be. PPR should be Warren.
Yeah.
Without question.
82 overall, RB29 is Brian Robinson.
Surprisingly didn't get much competition. I like the Koski Merritt kid they took in the 7th round, but it's a 7th round pick.
Yeah. 86 overall, RB30, Trevor Etienne.
That would scare me.
Or is that Travis? I can't remember.
Travis. He's Travis.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I think he may end up in Dallas or something like that because they drafted Tootin and they have Bigsby.
I thought somebody ended up in Dallas last year and it never happened. 87 overall, and RB31 is Ramondre Stevenson.
So he's ahead of Henderson.
Yeah.
In a PPR. I'm still a Stevenson believer, but I would definitely have Henderson over Stevenson in PPR.
89 overall, And RB32 is Javonte Williams.
He looks like the one. I don't think he's particularly good anymore, though.
At 90 and RB33 is Travion Henderson.
Okay, so they're close.
91 overall, RB34, Tyrone Tracy.
I don't think Scatterbo hurts him tragically.
Interestingly enough, they're right next to each other
Yeah,
because
I can see that,
Scatterbo's
yeah.
92 and RB35.
Okay, I would rather have Tracy in PPR.
93 and RB36 is Jordan Mason.
They traded for him. Direct handcuff to an older guy. I just said he's a Viking now, if people don't know.
Yeah.
I like Jones, but Jones has never been a full-time player, and they traded for this guy. It's a sneaky pick.
95 overall and RB37 is Caleb Johnson.
Cool. I could see that being the lowest his ADP is between now and when you make your real draft. I bet he starts to creep up boards.
97 overall and RB38 is Zach Charbonnet.
Okay. Clear two, but
yeah. At 102, RB39 is Tank Bigsby.
I guess. I kind of don't want any of their backs.
104 and RB40 is Rashad White.
PPR is,
Yeah.
I mean, he is a good receiver.
At RB41 at 107 is Tajay Spears.
I think there's still a lot there, and the line's better.
At 112.
I think Spears is closer to Pollard than these rankings indicate. Yeah.
112 and RB42 is Trey Benson.
He was pretty rough as a rookie.
Yeah.
Hard to trust.
At 122, RB43, Najee Harris.
Now, they had Hampton really high. I mean, they're really thinking it's going to be the rookie's backfield.
Yeah. At 126, RB44, Tyler Algier, all the way down there.
That's a really good handcuff.
Yeah.
Proven.
For the guy that you had as a number one back.
All right.
And I'm going to get him at 126.
If I'm the Bijan owner, I'm paying a higher price than that for it, for sure. I'm not sure he's one of these guys, but he's close. That if the guy in front of him is the missed time, I don't know if he's an RB1, but he's not far. I mean, is he the top 10 in all the RB ranks that week? Close.
Probably.
Pretty close.
Given all the timeshares and
right. You
those
just take
kind of things.
Bijan out of the equation, right.
131, RB45 is Ray Davis.
Yeah. Josh Allen's their short yardage back.
Yeah. The one game where he did have to play, though.
Oh, he's good.
He was good.
Yeah.
132, RB46 is Kendre Miller.
I don't think he's even going to be the 2. I think Neal will go past him.
135, RB47 is Rashawn Johnson.
I guess he is
the Bears.
2.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty thin right now.
It is.
Quicker than most years.
138.
This implies to me I
with
want
all
more
these rookies in this draft, too.
I mean, just start drafting rookies at this point.
RB48 is Blake Corum.
But they drafted a guy, too, as they always do.
RB49 is Rico Dowdell with the Panthers.
Looks like the clear handcuff on a run-first team. He's not bad.
We finally get to another rookie at RB50, and that's Bashal Tootin.
That's the third Jag mentioned, though.
Yeah.
I don't want
crowded backfield.
I don't want any of them.
Marshawn Lloyd is our RB51.
It's a bit of a leap of faith after nothing rookie season.
Jaleel McLaughlin is RB52.
I mean, in a PPR, if he's a third down guy. Man, this is thin, though.
Yeah, then you're looking at Isaac Garendo at 53. Ugh. Yuck.
Yeah, I think I'd take Jordan James over him.
Austin Eckler at 54.
He still has a little something left, PPR. But, man, you can't start any of these guys even close.
Trevor Etienne at 55. Another Carolina back.
He ended up with Carolina, yeah. I was trying to think where he ended up.
Jarquez Hunter.
Brooks isn't going to play this year.
At 56.
Is he the Chief?
With the Rams.
Okay, and the Chiefs drafted a dude, and I forget they get those two flopped.
Audric Estime at RB57.
These all turn my stomach.
Ugh, I'm not liking any of them.
Right. These are all going to be in our league.
Actually, so they have J.K. Dobbins at RB58, Jaden Blue at 59.
I might roll the dice on Blue.
Braylon Allen at 60.
He's at least a clear, too.
Right. I don't get why he's so low.
Right. And these other ones that have 3 competitors or 2 competitors.
There's
or a
4
rookie.
in some cases.
Right. There was even talk of Hall getting traded. What if he gets traded at the trade deadline or something?
Yeah.
No, I would take a shot on Allen that late.
Right in Miami at RB61.
That's crowded too, though.
Dylan Sampson all the way down at RB62 with the Browns.
I might be in on that.
DJ Giddens in Indianapolis at 63.
We mentioned how much Taylor gets hurt. I would imagine he's the number 2.
I don't understand why some of these guys are so far down as opposed to some of the guys who are in 3- and 4-way battles.
They're a little biased against the rookies, and I think that they're not looking at playing time enough.
Just looking here. Javonte Marks in Houston is 66. That's the second back.
He's probably the
Texans.
2. Yeah.
Again, there's some value to be mined here. Jordan James is RB71.
He might be the 2, and he might be McCaffrey's true handcuff.
Who else is? You can get Kareem Hunt right now at RB77.
Is he a Chief?
Yeah.
Still? Yeah. I didn't know if he changed teams. It's okay. I mean, he's a little more reliable than some of the other options.
Yeah. It's just not.
Man, that drops off quick, though.
If you're looking for guys like sure things, guys who are going to get the ball on their teams 70% of the time, it's Robinson. And I don't even know that Robinson's going to get it 70%.
Right, it's a lot.
Because they do use Algier still quite a bit. Barkley, Gibbs is 50-50.
It's good offense, though.
Genty is going to get the football.
I think he may lead the league in touches.
Achan's not going to get.
No, I bet he gets even
volume.
less.
Bucky Irving will.
He will.
McCaffrey's a no.
No, I think they're going to try to scale him back.
Derrick Henry's a yes.
Yeah, but he's not going to be out there. There's a lot of third downs. He's sitting on the sidelines.
Jacobs is a yes.
Yeah.
Taylor?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be out there on third downs.
Kyron Williams is a yes.
That's the nice part.
Yeah.
I don't think he's great, but he does all that stuff.
Kenneth Walker's got Charbonnet.
Walker's reception spiked last year.
Yeah.
But then he got hurt.
Mixon.
Yes. I think he still has that going for him.
James Cook.
Mostly.
I
don't think he gets any.
He's a free agent after this year. I think they're just going to use him up.
He's asking for crazy.
He wants crazy money.
And they might just be like, let's use him like crazy, send him on his way, draft one in the second round.
Yeah. Chase Brown?
He was last year.
I don't know if that's their plan for him.
I don't think any team used a singular running back a higher percentage of the time than the Bengals. Even when he was out, it was Moss all the time.
Breece Hall? I don't think he gets to 70. Allen's good.
Allen's good. A new staff. The old staff really seemed to like Allen.
Yeah. Hampton, I don't believe is going to get 70%.
No.
Kamara's not going to get 70%.
No.
Judkins will.
Yeah.
Connor,
that's appealing, yeah.
Connor will.
Should, unless Benson comes on strong.
Hubbard will.
Yeah.
I would think. Well, they might use Dowdell a little bit more.
And they drafted ATN.
But they paid Hubbard.
Right.
Montgomery's a no.
No. But it's kind of
you're going to get the important ones.
Mm-hmm.
After that, like, is DeAndre Swift going to get 70% of the Bears touches?
I bet they add somebody between now and then. I don't know. Maybe it's J.K. Dobbins or who knows. But what's interesting to me is I loved your strategy 15 minutes ago when we got to like Connor, Montgomery neighborhood. You can make some money there.
Yeah.
But if you wait any longer, you're
done.
You're done. Right. Like you better.
Now you better draft like 5 rookies and hope.
Yeah. 1 or 2 hits, or you have to wait, or your bench is all these running backs hoping.
Just clogging up your bench for the first 2 months of the season.
Right. And then you're short everywhere else.
Yeah.
And one injury destroys you. But I don't love the guys at the top either.
Yeah. I mean, we'll circle back around to this stuff when we get to training camp and we get a little more clarity in some of these situations, but it's rough.
It is rough. There wasn't a lot of them where I was going, oh, yeah, I'll take him there. And it's like, I'd settle for it.
It's way different than wide receiver, which we will do tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. That's a much longer conversation.
Yeah.
But, like, if Bucky Irving is a top 15 pick, I get it, but is he a league winner? I don't know.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, this is, of course, our daily drive here. And you can hear the drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here in these very airways. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get the show there. Or you can watch along on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up and leave your comments, all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Matt, CBSSports.com has put together one reason for optimism for all 32 teams after the draft and free agency. So I just wanted to spin through these here real quick, see if we agree or disagree with these. For the Cardinals, they're in alphabetical order, a looming year 2 jump from Marvin Harrison Jr.
I could be on board with that. And fantasy receiver ranks, I might target him as somebody that's ready to be better than he was in year 1.
Couldn't be much worse.
It was pretty disappointing,
yeah. For the Falcons, it's their revamped pass rush.
Better be.
For the 14th time.
Yeah, we've seen this trick before.
15 years.
Hasn't really worked, but they went all in.
For the Ravens, it is Ronnie Stanley remains as Lamar Jackson's left tackle.
Okay. I like more of a jump, as opposed to just staying the same.
Here's the thing with Stanley. I think he's pre-injury, he was one of the top left tackles in the NFL.
Yeah.
Post-injury, he's been an average left tackle in the NFL.
It's been better the further away from the injury he gets, but I don't think he's ever going to be Trent Williams or those type of guy. Not
going to, now he's in his 30s.
Right. He probably is what he is at this point, which you're happy with, but it's not going to be what he was.
Yeah.
Agreed.
For the Bills, it's Josh Allen.
Oh, come on.
That's
cut a corner here.
That's all you got?
Yeah. I mean, they went crazy draft. I wouldn't say now they got 10 defensive linemen that are interesting. They drafted 3 of them. That's something new.
Drafted a first-round cornerback.
That's why I wouldn't have done Stanley either. Give me something new.
Yeah. For the Carolina Panthers, it's Bryce Young's strong finish to 2024. That's a good one.
Yeah. I think that's promising. Now you presumably got him a number 1 receiver, too. He's in a comfortable situation. For
the Bears, Ben Johnson arriving as the head coach.
That's certainly a reason for optimism. I don't know if it'll work out or not, but it's excitement.
We're all assuming that Ben Johnson can actually be a head coach.
Right.
He's never done it before.
Coordinating the head coach is not
huge difference.
A huge difference, 100%. I'm excited about their offense.
I would, they could have said, they revamped the interior of the offensive line. Mm-hmm. They did this.
Drafted 2 pass catchers to start the draft.
Ben Johnson's head coach number, 8 for the Bears in the last 20 years.
Yeah. And Caleb Williams is quarterback number
87.
Yeah. 18 in 20 years, right? Yeah.
Give me. I don't know. I
mean, he was the crown jewel that everybody wanted, and I'm excited to see what he does. But that doesn't mean he's a good head coach.
Right. For the Bengals, the wide receiver duo is intact. Is that something to be super excited about?
That one I kind of get, just because I didn't think that would end up going that way.
I didn't think that would happen either, but they did it at the expense of doing very little with their defense.
Right. Running it back shouldn't be optimistic.
Yeah, you've gone 9-9 won 9 games in each of the last 2 years with these guys.
Stud quarterback, right? It should be better than that. But the same formula.
For Cleveland, it's the same thing. Myles Garrett is still in Cleveland. That's your reason for optimism?
I would have said exciting new rookie class, which I hate their rookie class, but something like that.
I don't know what else you can get excited for.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Keeping one guy usually shouldn't be
no.
Stanley and Garrett. I mean, as good as those guys are, especially Garrett, that's not enough for this article.
For the Cowboys, it's Dak Prescott returning to full health.
He's another one that kind of might be like Stanley, where
the best has been
the best is we've kind of plateaued. It's good, but is he going to get better or raise Jonathan Mingo? Probably not.
For the Broncos, it's boast arguably the NFL's top defense.
I think there's a lot to be optimistic in Denver. Year 2 of Knicks, improved running game. Defense does look really good.
For the Lions, it's Aiden Hutchinson's return.
I can live with that. They lost a lot more than they gained, though.
Yeah.
In terms of if you think about coaches.
For the Packers, Jordan Love's late season surges. I don't know if that's a reason to be optimistic because that means he started crappy.
Yeah, that's how I would say.
Each of the last 2 years.
I think we're searching for consistency here.
Yeah. Give me something more than that.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I'd pick, though, for them.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I mean, they're kind of running it back. Golden's kind of interesting, but they're losing Watson, and
For the Texans, should continue to have top pass defense. That's a reason to be optimistic. How about your revamped offensive line?
That's what I was going to say, too. Like, maybe all the problems on offense are gone. Yeah, right. Diggs got hurt. Dell got hurt. Now you have 4 big-time receivers, potentially. O-line vastly underperformed, so you redid it.
And pass defense is so up and down. I don't know. For the Colts, it's an improved secondary.
All right.
If you say so.
Yeah, I mean, it's, okay.
Adding Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward,
right? Like they're
to
good
an
players,
average group. That doesn't make them above average.
I don't know that moves the needle a ton.
Yeah. For the Jaguars, the arrival of Travis Hunter.
That's fun. We're talking about reasons for optimism. Would be optimistic as could be if he was coming to Pittsburgh.
For the Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes.
You pick Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Come on. You got to be a little more creative with your choices here.
For the Raiders, a drastic improvement in the run game.
The Raiders have all kinds of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll.
New quarterback.
The highest-paid offense coordinator ever. New quarterback. Genty. I mean, it's like every down the ladder.
Well, that's why I said improved running game.
Okay.
I didn't just say Genty.
Yeah.
I mean, they ran for...
they were like the worst running game in the league.
Yeah, 1,300 yards last year. They were bad. The Chargers, it's an improved backfield.
It is. I'm not sure the runners were the problem last year, though. Well, Gus isn't good, but Dobbins was all right.
That's the same Gus Edwards you were talking. Sign him after the draft.
If they didn't really get anybody. I mean, he's a not even make the team guy.
I don't think he makes any team this year. I think he's
he
done.
Might not. He might be.
For L.A., Rams, Matthew Stafford is still in L.A.
I guess that was debatable, but was it really?
How about going out and getting Devontae Adams?
I say Adams is a nice.
Yeah,
that's the one to look at.
Ooh, for the Dolphins, offense remains among the best in the NFL. Is it?
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think it is among the best in the NFL.
No, they had no running game either. I think their quarterback is average. No, I'm not on the board with that. Yeah. I think people have caught up to the scheme.
They average 24 points a game. That's not among the best in the NFL. The Steelers averaged almost 24 points a game.
Yeah, I'm not there with that. Tyreek could be falling off.
For the Vikings, the perfect roster to usher in a young quarterback.
I think the offense is phenomenal for that. After the O-line moves, sure nice throw into Jefferson, Hawkins. I'm on board with that, and the coach.
I just don't know that they did enough to improve that secondary.
Oh, I think the defense is. Coach Flores, best of luck.
Yeah.
We're going to make everything easy on JJ, and you got to coach things up.
For the Patriots, it's Mike Vrabel changing the tone. That's what you're excited about?
They made so many changes, roster-wise.
Right.
And May looks really promising. I think the roster actually looks acceptable.
That would have been my the roster looks like it's an actual NFL roster.
It's not garbage anymore, right? It's trending in the right direction.
For the Saints, offensive tackle spots secured for the long term.
I'll buy that.
Do we know that though?
No, but you go back. I mean, it's kind of like the Steelers going tackle 2 years in a row.
But if we'd have said that about the Steelers, I'd be like, I don't know that it's solved.
You don't know, right?
You don't know.
And Fuaga's going from left to right now, which might be better.
For him, but can Banks play right or left tackle at all? I don't know.
Yeah. There's not a lot to be optimistic for in New England or in New Orleans.
I don't know what I would have said there.
Be one of the
new
things
coaching.
they got going
That would have
for
been a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
Oh boy, for the Giants, Jackson Dart.
I knew that was coming. I would say D-line.
Yeah,
With Carter and Thibodeau and Burns and Lawrence, like that could be the best D-line in
it's
the
a
league.
good defensive
Right,
line.
right,
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's a good place to start.
For the Jets, can Justin Fields be the latest late bloomer?
That would be tremendous for them if he is.
Is that a reason to be optimistic, though?
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a long year for the Jets. When we're doing over/under and schedule and all that stuff, I don't see things going well for them this year. I might do them back-to-back tackles in the first round. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Membu and Fashanu.
Here's one of the things I say about it. I just want people to realize this. Last season, Fields was 4-2 as a starter in Pittsburgh, and the offense averaged 20.7 points per game.
One's good, the other isn't.
20.7 points per game.
Yeah. 4-2's good.
Yeah.
But the offense wasn't carrying them.
No. For the Eagles, the reason to be optimistic is that they're favored to go back-to-back. Well, it rarely happens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a reason to be up. I would look at it and say,
I mean, they have all kinds of reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah.
They're the best team in the league. What's different though?
they lost guys on defense,
Mm-hmm.
but did they replace? I mean, I could say you replaced your offense. The guys that you lost on defense, you were able to replace.
Mm-hmm. That looks like mostly true.
Yeah,
They lost more D-line than they replaced with. Yeah.
I don't know. For the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey back healthy.
Maybe.
I hope so.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, that would go a long way. He was certainly missed. I would just say health in general.
Yeah,
I mean, they got hit really hard.
they're crushed.
But, when's Ayuk going to be ready?
For the Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba's rise to wide receiver 1 status.
I'm fine with that.
He's
I mean, he's not Justin Jefferson.
no,
or
that's
Jamar
what I was going to
Chase,
say. Like,
but
there were wide receiver 1s and there were wide receiver
Right,
1s.
right.
Like, he's not Jefferson or
he's limited
these
in
guys.
the areas of the field he attacks.
yeah. I think he's a good player.
But he deserves double-digit targets
Yeah.
every week.
For the Buccaneers, they kept Chris Godwin and Levante David.
Okay. I mean, David is like Cam Hayward there.
Keeping Godwin was a good get, but keeping a 35-year-old linebacker, it's like keeping Cam Hayward, but not really because.
But he wasn't one of the defensive players of the year last year.
Yeah,
But he's a stalwart in the community.
David's a linebacker that his game is predicated on running,
and now he's an average player. He's not a great player, but there's more to it than just what he brings running and hitting.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. For the Titans, it's Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean that's legit.
Number
that's
1
easy.
pick in the draft.
Right.
Yeah,
You should be super excited about him.
For Washington, it's adding key pieces around Jaden Daniels.
I guess so. Tunsil, Debo, first-round tackle. I'll buy that.
And finally, for the Steelers, they finally acquired another star wide receiver.
I think that's what I'd have picked too.
Yeah.
They've been searching for a receiver for a while. They got it. I mean, I think you know exactly what that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a big get.
That's a reason for optimism.
Right.
They sure could have used DK Metcalf last year.
Absolutely.
Sure could have.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. But that was the list on CBS Sports. I agree with most of them.
Picking Mahomes and Allen, though. I mean,
Kind of. If that were the case, you should pick Lamar Jackson for the Ravens.
And Burrow. And, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Herbert, as opposed to better running game, We know you got a great quarterback. Tell me something I might not know. Right.
Anyways, yeah, that was the list on CBS Sports. Let's get to another break. He is Matt Williamson. I am the Dale Lolley. How about that? And this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. And welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, NFL.com, Mark Ross has a list of 10 second-year breakout candidates in the NFL this year.
Interesting. Okay.
Some of these are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Some of them a little deeper. His first guy on there is Drake May.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
I thought he did a lot with a little. last year.
Yeah.
And his sporting cast isn't perfect now, but it's better.
Number 2 on there is Caleb Williams.
Kind of better be.
He better be. You're the number 1 overall pick.
You got a lot around you now, and you can't tell me the coach is going to hold him back, or we'll see.
Yeah.
But boy, his life got a lot easier.
The third guy is Marvin Harrison Jr.
Could.
Again, he better.
He better too. I mean, these are big investments. And
you were the first wide receiver taken in what turned out to be a really good wide receiver group.
I mean, they were 3 of the top 4 picks last year.
Yeah.
3, and May's the one I feel best about of the 3.
I don't see this one necessarily. Xavier Legette with Carolina.
No, I don't either. I thought the Tet pick was an
indictment
on
of him.
Yeah. Now, I do think he's in a better role. They asked him to be like a true George Pickens X receiver, and he's much more of a move.
Yeah.
He's not good against man coverage, so he could benefit from being Robin. But I'm not sure Coker's not better than him.
Yeah.
Coker's a good player.
Right.
I don't see it with Legette, but I don't think that's a good one.
For the Jets, Olu Fashanu.
Maybe.
Can he be a breakout candidate?
Right.
Offensive tackle. There were so many offensive tackles taken in that first round last year. You could have picked any of them.
Right. I mean,
for that,
Latham and Falaga are finally going back to the spot they belong. Fautanu should be healthy. Alt was really good.
Yeah. For the Colts, Leatu Letu.
I expected more from him from the rookie. And I thought the beauty of him coming out of UCLA was...
He was NFL ready.
Yeah. I didn't think he had this great ceiling, but I thought he had a really NFL-ready game. And he didn't quite show it. It wasn't, bust or anything, but didn't come in and really make an impact.
For the Dolphins, Chop Robinson.
He kind of already did, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of quiet because they were out of it, but he came on strong.
Ooh, boy. For the Vikings, Dallas Turner.
I'd be worried about him.
He was terrible last year.
And they gave up a lot to get back in the middle of the first round last year. He's a finesse guy.
He played 28% of their defensive snaps last season.
Wow. I knew it was low, but I would have guessed like 40. Wow. The problem with some of those guys is they just don't play with power. Like if they know you can beat me the outside shoulder.
You're going to throw me nothing but curveballs. I'm going to sit on the curveball.
Right. Those tackles get it, man. I just have to get to my spot. If you can't run through my body, I'm not that fearful of you.
For the Lions, Terrion Arnold?
Maybe. Corners have a tough transition, but boy, you had a lot of penalties and a lot of down moments.
Yeah. For the Ravens, Nate Wiggins.
He came on really strong at the end, too. He was part of the reason that their defense was shored up. I feel better about him than the Lions do.
Arnold, yeah.
This sounds like guys he liked coming out of the draft.
Sounds like it.
It's like dudes I was really high on.
These are guys I was really high on that I think you're going to see. Like, they're all first-round picks.
Right. Dig a little deeper.
Yeah, give me something a little bit more. Any Steelers?
I mean, Fautanu.
I think Fautanu is
could have been
a great candidate for
easily could have been in the top 10 here without question because you just didn't see it.
Right.
I mean,
You didn't get a chance to see it.
Frazier already did.
I think Peyton Wilson could be a guy on that list.
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
I mean, I'd feel much better about him than I would Dallas Turner.
Right. I saw good things out of him. His competition for playing time is out of the way, which means the team did that on purpose.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he shouldn't be in the top 10, but Roman Wilson, I mean, breakout's a big word. I mean, I'm not saying
give me something. How about that?
Right. I'm not saying he's going to catch 100 balls, but he could get back on the career path.
Yeah, give me 30.
Yeah. Or if he establishes himself as the 3, like that's a breakout.
Right, yeah.
That's a very successful year.
I think Peyton Wilson is
a real good one.
McCormick
and Frazier already have
done. They're already starters.
They're starters and good. And Frazier could be real good. I mean, second-year guys, it's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Logan Lee all of a sudden is going to have 12 sacks or anything. I was kind of hopeful Watts could be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, breakout's a big word, but take a step forward in year 2,
But
if Lee is your 5th D lineman and a good one, that's a successful year.
That's a successful
year.
You'd take that. I mentioned I talked to Kirk Ferentz on Friday, and he brought up Logan Lee. We talked for a while, and he said, "Yeah, Logan Lee's like a 40-year-old man, just in his business-like
Just
approach.
the way he handles life."
I'm like, oh, okay.
I've never been around him or know his personality.
So, that kind of makes sense.
Okay, just business and interesting. I like hearing it though.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of approach you want those guys to have.
Better than he's like a 10-year-old kid. Total goofball, doesn't include
just
right.
floating through life.
Right. Yeah. But it sounds like a lot of those Iowa guys are like that. I mean, they probably recruit that type.
Yeah.
They stay there. They don't transfer. Come to the NFL and are pretty successful.
Yeah.
I'm coming out of that program. Kirk Ferentz, a good coach. How long's he been there? 30 years?
At least
20, or at least 30?
Might be
been a long time.
20, somewhere in between.
As long as I can
20 and
remember,
30.
right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
He's been the guy there for a while, but interesting list, and again, a lot of first-round picks.
I was going to say I would have liked to see a lot more second through fourth round type guys.
Yeah, give me somebody again. That's where you get your Peyton Wilsons and guys like that. That
not the first round pick that had a pretty good year that all of a sudden they think would be better.
Yeah,
like I know who Marvin Harrison is. Caleb Williams was the first pick in the draft.
First pick in the draft. He better be better.
Should dig up a little more than that.
Yeah. Anyways, but Matt, that's going to do it for our show today.
All right, good one.
Another one in the books for my partner, Matt Williamson, for CJ Wolfley here on site, keeping us on the air, running the soundboard, for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.